The forest, vast and unforgiving, seemed to echo with a chorus of ancient whispers as I, old Greg, gray-haired and time-worn, ventured deeper into its heart. There's a certain stillness in these woods, one that's unsettling yet familiar, like an uninvited guest who never leaves. 15 years had passed since that fateful night, yet it felt like only yesterday. The memories, sharp as ever, clawed at my soul, refusing to be buried in the sands of time. I remember the night vividly. The air was crisp, the moon a mere sliver in the sky, casting a faint light over the dense canopy. I was out hunting, a routine that once brought me peace. But that night, the forest felt different, as if it was holding its breath, waiting for something sinister to unfold. And unfold it did, in the most horrific way imaginable. My return home was met with a sight no man should ever witness. The door to my cabin was ajar, creaking softly in the night breeze. Inside, the remnants of my life lay in ruin, torn apart by an entity born from nightmares. It was a werewolf, a creature of dark folklore. Yet there it was, as real as the grief that consumed me. My family, my joy, the very essence of my being, all snatched away by this monster of the night. For years, I tried to escape the memories, to drown them in the mundane routines of life. But some wounds never heal. They fester, growing into obsessions that consume the soul. The tragedy of that night became my cross to bear, a relentless reminder of what I had lost. Now, as I trudged through the underbrush, each step was a painful echo of the past. I had nothing left but this hunt, this quest for vengeance that had gnawed at the edges of my sanity. I was no longer just a man. I was a hunter of monsters, both real and those that lurked in the shadows of my mind. The forest seemed to watch me, its ancient trees standing like silent sentinels. Every rustle in the undergrowth, every snap of a twig underfoot, heightened my senses. The monster was out there, somewhere, biding its time. But I was patient. I had become the embodiment of the hunt, my life dedicated to finding and destroying the creature that had turned my world into an endless night. As the first light of dawn filtered through the trees, casting eerie shadows on the forest floor, I paused. The weight of my rifle in my hands was a familiar comfort, a reminder of the purpose that drove me. The werewolf, my nemesis, was more than just a beast. It was the embodiment of the darkness that had swallowed my life. I closed my eyes for a moment, letting the sounds of the forest wash over me. The journey ahead was fraught with danger, both physical and mental. But I was ready. I had to be. For in the depths of these woods lay not just a monster, but the chance for redemption, for peace. And so, with a heart heavy with memories and a resolve as unyielding as the ancient trees around me, I ventured on, into the heart of darkness. As I ventured deeper, memories surfaced unbidden, piercing through the veil of time. Once, my home was a haven of laughter and love, a sanctuary where my children's giggles echoed through the halls, and my wife's tender smile was the sun that brightened our days. I can still see them, my little ones, their faces alight with joy, chasing each other in the yard under the benevolent gaze of the summer sun. Their laughter was a melody that filled the air, weaving a tapestry of happiness that seemed unbreakable. And there, amidst that picture of bliss, stood my wife, the cornerstone of our family. Her eyes sparkled with unspoken love as she watched over us, her smile a beacon of warmth in our lives. Our home was more than just walls and a roof. It was a cocoon of peace, a place where the aroma of freshly baked rolls lingered in the air, a testament to my wife's loving hands. Family dinners were a sacred ritual, a time when we came together, savoring each meal as if it were a precious gift. But that idyllic life was shattered, torn asunder by a nightmare-made flesh. The werewolf, a dark, malevolent force, invaded our sanctuary, turning our haven into a hellish landscape. I lost them that night, my wife, my children, their screams intertwining with the beast's howls, creating a symphony of terror that haunts me still. In a blind rage, fueled by despair and heartache, I confronted the monster. I remember the struggle, fierce and brutal. The creature, a towering mass of fur and fangs, was a relentless force, but driven by my agony, I managed to wound it. I took one of its eyes, a small victory in a war I had already lost. I plunged a knife into its belly, feeling its hot blood on my hands. But the beast fought back with equal ferocity, leaving me crippled, my body as broken as my spirit. Neighbors found us later, my lifeless family and I, barely clinging to life. The doctors saved me, pulling me back from the brink of death. But what they couldn't heal was the gaping wound in my soul. The months of recovery were a blur, each day a torturous reminder of what I had lost. No medication could numb the pain, no amount of time could erase the scars that marred my heart. And so, here I am, in these haunted woods, a man driven by a singular purpose, to avenge my family. The werewolf must pay for what it took from me. Each step I take is a step closer to the monster, a step towards the closure I so desperately seek. I am no longer just a hunter. I am a father and a husband, seeking justice in a world that has shown me the cruel face of fate. The werewolf, my nemesis, is out there, and I will find it. I must. Of course, I'd gone to the police many times. I'd told them about that night in great detail, about the way the werewolf's eyes glittered in the dark, about the ferocity of our fight. But my words, filled with truth, fell into ears that were closed to the possibility that such nightmares could be real. The police, men and women bound by logic and reason, could not fathom a world where creatures of folklore roamed. To them, my tale was nothing more than the ramblings of a man broken by loss. They dismissed my pleas, suggesting what I already knew. A wild animal, not a monster of myth, was to blame. Undeterred, I sought understanding elsewhere. I reached out to friends, relatives, even acquaintances who might harbor a belief in the extraordinary. I spoke to rangers, those familiar with the secrets of the forest, but they all had the same skepticism as the police officers. I saw only distrust and growing wariness about my state of mind. In their eyes, I had seen the reflection of doubt, a belief that grief had twisted my reality. My once close friends had begun to drift away, their discomfort evident. Suggestions were made, thinly veiled in concern, that perhaps I needed psychological help, that I should accept the reality of a mere animal attack. The community that had once embraced me now seemed distant, shrouded in a fog of misunderstanding. Their evasive glances, their hesitant steps away from me, had spoken louder than words. I was an outcast, a man haunted by a truth that no one else could see. Yet, I knew what I had witnessed. I knew the truth, and I didn't care if they believed me or not. I can do it myself. No, I have to do it myself. There was a werewolf lurking in the depths of the forest, the real killer of my family. Despite the world turning its back on me, I had never ceased in my quest. The woods had become my second home, a vast expanse that I combed through, searching for any sign of the beast. Over 15 long years, I had become as much a part of the forest as the ancient trees and hidden streams. I had studied every inch, every whisper of the wind, every mark on the bark. My days were spent tracking, my nights pondering over maps and notes, piecing together the puzzle that would lead me to my nemesis. There had been encounters, fleeting glimpses of the creature that had shattered my world. Each time, it was a specter on the edge of my vision, a shadow that slipped away just as I reached out. It was as if the werewolf was taunting me, a ghostly presence always one step ahead. In moments of confrontation, when our paths had crossed, I would challenge it, my voice echoing through the trees. "Why do you flee? Why not end this, beast?" My words were a mix of anger and desperation, a challenge to the creature that seemed to fear the finality of our battle. But the werewolf had remained elusive, a phantom that danced on the periphery of my hunt. Its avoidance of a decisive confrontation had only fueled my determination. Was this creature, this harbinger of death, afraid of me? The forest had held its breath with me, a silent companion in my solitary quest. As I lay in my makeshift camp each night, staring into the flames, I pondered this game of cat and mouse. Was the werewolf biding its time, or was there another reason for its evasion? The answer had eluded me, but my resolve never wavered. I would continue this pursuit for as long as my body and spirit could withstand the toll. The werewolf was out there, and our paths would cross again. When they did, I would be ready. This day is special to me. If fate had been kinder, if the darkness had not descended upon my life, today would have been my son's 19th birthday. The thought of it, the wonder of what he might have become, pierces through me like a shard of ice. I can almost see him, a young man with dreams and aspirations, a life full of potential. But those are fantasies, echoes of a life stolen from us. Now, there is only the path ahead, the relentless pursuit that consumes my every waking moment. The werewolf, my nemesis, has grown careless in its tracks. Age and time, relentless in their pursuit, spare no one, not even monsters. I have noticed the signs. More wool along its path, an indication of its waning strength. It is old, perhaps sick, a shadow of the fearsome creature it once was. But I am old too, a man whose years weigh heavily upon his shoulders. Yet my resolve remains unshaken, my mind as sharp as it was 15 years ago, when this quest began. There is a fire within me, fueled by loss and the unyielding need for justice. Soon, very soon, I will catch up with this monster, and I feel like this day is special, and not just because it's my son's birthday. The forest tonight feels alive with a tense anticipation. The moon, a low-hanging sentinel, casts elongated shadows that dance with the rustling leaves. Each step I take resonates through the woods, a drumbeat heralding the impending confrontation. The night air is thick, laden with a metallic odor that speaks of proximity. The usual sounds of the nocturnal forest have quietened, as if nature itself senses the nearing climax of this long pursuit. My heart beats a frantic rhythm, a mix of fear and anticipation. Memories of that fateful night, which have long haunted me, now fuel my determination. They are no longer chains that bind me to grief, but a catalyst that propels me forward. As I delve deeper into the heart of the woods, the feeling grows stronger. The werewolf is near. I can sense it. The years of tracking, of learning its habits and movements, have led to this moment. Tonight, the moon seems to shine just for me, illuminating a path that has been shrouded in darkness for far too long. The wind whispers secrets, carrying with it the scent of the creature that has been the focus of my existence for over a decade. I move with a purpose that belies my years, my senses heightened to every sound, every movement in the underbrush. The rifle in my hands, a trusted companion through countless nights, feels ready, eager for the encounter that has been building for years. The night, suddenly pierced by a growl in which a primal ferocity could be heard. My fingers tightened around the rifle, a reflex honed by years of anticipation and fear. From the shadows, a figure emerged, immense and terrifying in its presence. The werewolf, a creature of nightmares, stood before me, its eyes alight with a malevolent fire. Time seemed to bend in that moment, stretching into an eternity as we stood there, hunter and hunted, locked in a gaze that spoke of years of pain and vengeance. The werewolf's lips curled into a sinister grin, revealing fangs that glistened like daggers under the moon's cold light. With a speed that belied its size, the creature lunged. Its movements were a blur, a display of savage grace that was both horrifying and awe-inspiring. I reacted instinctively, the rifle's report thundering through the clearing, a desperate attempt to end the nightmare once and for all. But the werewolf was faster, evading the bullet with an agility that seemed impossible. In the moonlit clearing, our battle unfolded, a dance of life and death that was as old as time itself. Steel met claw, the sound of our struggle a symphony of survival. The creature's breath was hot against my skin, a reminder of the razor-thin line between life and death. Despite the werewolf's formidable strength, I sensed a change. The beast of my memories, the unstoppable force of destruction, was not the same. Age and illness had taken their toll, slowing its movements, dulling its reflexes. This realization ignited a spark of hope within me. The werewolf was vulnerable, and in that vulnerability lay my chance. It was a slim chance, but it was all I needed. My resolve hardened, a determination that had been forged in the fires of loss and grief. I would not falter, not now when the end was within reach. If my bullets failed, my knife would not. And if the knife was lost, I would use my bare hands, my teeth, anything to bring this creature down. Escape was not an option, not for the werewolf, not this time. Our battle raged on, a clash of wills as much as strength. Every blow I landed was a tribute to those I had lost, a silent scream for justice that echoed in the night. The werewolf fought with a desperation that matched my own, a creature cornered with nowhere left to run. I could feel the toll the fight was taking on my body, each movement a testament to the years and the burdens they carried. But I pushed through the pain, driven by a single, unyielding thought. This ends tonight. Despite the werewolf's debilitating sickness, its power remained formidable. It hurled me aside with a force that belied its weakened state, and I crashed into the underbrush, a tangle of pain and broken resolve. My body screamed in agony from the impact. I could feel the sharp, jarring pain of fractured ribs. My clothes were tattered and soaked with blood. Lying there, gasping for breath, a part of me acknowledged the gravity of my injuries. Yet, surrender was not a word that found refuge in my heart. With a Herculean effort, I forced myself upright, meeting the werewolf's gaze with an unbroken spirit. There was more than just physical pain. There was a fire within me, a flame that refused to be extinguished. The werewolf circled me, a predator assessing its prey, its growls reverberating through the clearing. I knew I could not match its brute strength, but what I possessed was something far more potent, an unyielding will, tempered in the crucible of loss and suffering. And I was cunning, armed with a knife dipped in poison, a silent accomplice to my desperation. As the werewolf lunged again, I braced for the impact. Its paws struck with a force that sent me hurtling against a tree. The collision tore open my chest, a warm rush of blood following the searing pain. I was on the brink, teetering on the edge of consciousness, but my resolve did not waver. The beast approached, sensing my vulnerability. It saw me struggling for breath, lying broken and defenseless. But within that broken body lay a mind that was sharp, a spirit that was cunning. As it made its final lunge, I shifted with the last ounce of my strength, evading its deadly jaws and driving the silver blade deep into its side. A guttural howl shattered the night, a sound that was both triumphant and tragic. The werewolf staggered back, blood oozing from the wound, painting the forest floor a dark crimson. This was the moment, the turning point in our deadly waltz. I gathered every fragment of strength that remained, preparing for the final act of this long and torturous drama. The werewolf, the weakened, was far from defeated. It lunged with a desperation born of survival, its jaws clamping down on my forearm. Agony lanced through my body, but I did not yield to it. Gritting my teeth against the pain, I thrust the blade with all my might, driving it into the creature's heart. The forest seemed to hold its breath as the werewolf's body shuddered, its life force ebbing away. I watched, my own body teetering on the brink of collapse, as the beast that had haunted my every waking moment began to falter. In that instant, time slowed, each second stretching into an eternity. The werewolf's eyes, once glowing with malice, now dimmed with the realization of its fate. And in those eyes, I saw something that transcended the boundary between man and beast, a shared understanding of pain, loss, and the inevitable end that awaits us all. Lying there, in the embrace of the forest that had witnessed our final struggle, I watched as the werewolf's life ebbed away. The beast, once a symbol of my nightmares, now lay defeated, a silver knife protruding from its heart. Its breathing was labored, each gasp a feeble protest against the inevitable end. In those moments, a flood of emotions overwhelmed me. There was resentment for the years of torment, the loss that had hollowed out my life. There was anger, a burning fury that had fueled my relentless pursuit. But there was also triumph, a bitter realization that my quest was at its end. And amidst these swirling emotions, there was devastation, a profound sense of emptiness at the culmination of my long-held purpose. But there remained one question that had haunted me for years, and it made its way to my lips in a whisper in the silence of dawn. Why? Why did you attack my family? Why did you do this? The werewolf, with its last remnants of life, turned to look at me. Even in its final moments, there was a storm of emotions in its eyes. It was old, sick, its once fearsome form now marred by the battles it had fought. One eye was missing, a testament to our first encounter, a memory etched in pain and loss. With a sigh that seemed to carry the weight of unspoken stories, the werewolf spoke in a guttural, haunting voice. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You killed my wolf cubs, Hunter. I had my revenge. The revelation struck me like a physical blow. My pursuit, my quest for vengeance, had been born from a cycle of retribution. The lines between hunter and hunted, between man and beast, blurred in the cruel irony of fate. As the werewolf's voice faded, so too did the light in its eyes. The life that had once burned fiercely within it slowly extinguished, leaving behind a stillness that was both eerie and profound.